Welcome to TimeBolt Office Hours on October 27, 2022. You are live with Doug and Quinston. We are here to answer your questions, check your workflows, and make sure that you get the best out of TimeBolt. And today we have Ethan on the line. We're waiting for him to connect up to the audio. Eric, are you there? What can we help you out with today? Can you kind of give us a little bit of, do you have some questions, correct? I believe we were talking through support.
Yeah. Just want to say great product, by the way. This is awesome product. You guys are doing a great job. All right.
How did you find, while you're pulling all this up, can you just give us a little bit of information about yourself, how you found TimeBolt, what type of content you create?
I do a lot of video production. Specifically, I think I was looking for something relating to a podcast that I was editing for a client. And I wish I could tell you the Google search that I used to find your product, but I think it was just like how to automatically remove silences or something like that between, like from a podcast episode. And then there was another product that I saw that I actually downloaded and played with, but it was garbage. I can't remember the name of it. I'd use some it was like some app management or app manager or something to be able to even use it. But then I found TimeBolt, and then just the lifetime offer was like a no-brainer. And then you got a affiliate program tied to it. That was just cool. And on top of it, it's a great product.
Awesome.
You guys promise something pretty cool, and then more importantly, you delivered on it.
How are you capturing? Thank you so much for that. How are you capturing the and is it you only doing podcasts or video vlog type stuff as well?
Okay, when I was looking for a solution, I was just dealing with audio and video from Zoom calls. That was a little bit easier to manage because you just had, even if you had multiple people on a call, you only had one video file to work with. I guess in the sense of trying to manage that within TimeBolt, it was a little bit easier because you just had, one video file. Well, unless you created separate video files for each participant, but each, the audio files were all basically the same. It didn't record an individual. Here, I'll put my camera on. Sorry. It didn't record a separate audio file for each of the participants. Since then, we've been playing around with Riverside.fm, if you guys are familiar. And we're figuring out the technical details of it and how to capture everything, but we've had good success with it's cool because it captures a file locally, a video file and an audio file for each participant, and then you get a higher quality like video and audio file. The audio file is a WAV file, and it's just the audio file for that individual, guest or host or whatever. And then while it's recording, it's also simultaneously uploading to the cloud. So when the recording is over, they just have to keep the app open, and it'll give a progress status of the file being uploaded. It'll say whatever percentage it's uploaded, and then when it's done, it'll just say 100%. So that's great because you got individual files for video and audio using Riverside FM. The only caveat is so the particular situation that we're trying to record is it's a radio broadcast recording. So each individual, I'm assuming because it's a pretty tight room, but each individual has, I believe it's got to be a dynamic mic for each of the guests and the host within the room, because they're not picking up each other's audio within the microphones or whatever. And then simultaneously we've got an additional mic for each person, and we've got a Sony ZV-E10 hooked into a laptop, with a 1.4 millimeter lens on that camera. Even though it's a super tight space and they're basically almost back up against the wall, we're able to blur out that background a little bit, right? So we're using Riverside FM. Granted, they're not the cheapest of cameras, but go ahead. Sorry, you're gonna ask.
Sony EV10. Yeah, that's what I've got. That's what I'm filming with right now. I love my Sony EV. And you're coming in through, and I have the 18 millimeter wide angle lens. It'll freaking. It's a pretty wide.
Is that the Sigma 18-35?
The one that they tell you to buy. Yeah, it costs about as much as the damn housing itself. Yeah, that lens. Yeah, the lens. But are you taking that feed in through a cable, or are you on the card?
No, yeah, it's USB streaming, and then the host has a MacBook. The other host has a Windows machine. They're both connected via USB. There's not a HDMI video or HDMI to USB capture card in between. It's just a straight direct connection to the laptop. Yeah, that's great. And then the host, she's got the Sony ZV-E10, and then she's got the newer Sony 15 millimeter 1.4. So she's wide open on that and we got the eye, tracking on, so it keeps her in focus, and it blurs out her background miraculously, for an APS-C sensor, right? We just keep it locked in at 1.4, and then same with the other guest. She actually got the Sigma 16 millimeters, a little bit I mean, a little bit less wide than the 15 mil. Like the Sony 15 mil is like one of the brand new lenses that they just put out, twice as much as the Sigma 60 millimeter. But the Sigma 60 millimeter is a 1.4 as well. We're able to nice and sharp, gets that background blurred out. And I was like in shock a little bit that we were even able to blur out the background, because like they were literally probably like the wall behind me is further away than the wall that's behind them on the recordings.
Wow.
Yeah, but the challenge, the cool thing about Riverside FM is that they do provide a mobile app, right? So which is cool. But the challenge was, did some testing, and so I'm on an iPhone. I was able to connect a Samsung Q2U, just your standard, podcasting dynamic mic. I was able to connect that to my phone via a USB to Lightning adapter. And I just did some light testing, like in the Voice Memos app, and I was able to use the microphone, and it sounded great. Like I had kids running around in the basement, and I could barely hear them in the background, which is like cool, very impressive, right? And then especially if we're recording in this type of environment, we can't have the other people picking up on, this dynamic mic that's plugged into the phone. So we ran into an issue like the first time that I was actually in the studio trying to help them do this, because it's a little bit not technical. We connected the mic into one of the guest phones. They had 3 guests that day, and I sent them an email, like prepping them and everything for the recording, like, you got to download this app, blah, blah, blah. Turns out I should have had them make sure that their iOS was completely updated, and, if they're on Android, the same thing, because I wasn't able to get the dynamic microphone to register on the Riverside app, which I basically just had to capture like whatever audio I could. Like thankfully I had the radio broadcast audio as a backup, and I had to manually sync everything. That was a bit of a nightmare. But I think the key for getting this type of scenario to work is just making sure everybody's got their phones updated, the iOS updated, and then make sure that, they're going to be probably downloading the app for the first time. They're probably going to have the most up-to-date version of that app. That's kind of the scenario. That's the setup. I think, once we dial in the process and make sure everybody has their phones, the iOS updated or the Android operating system fully updated before they get on the recording, I think that's going to help beneficially, and it's going to help us actually be able to use this dynamic mic plugged into a mobile device.
And we're saying Riverside, everybody's sending up their own high quality video feed throughout the process while they're recording live. It's not like it's all uploaded all at once, and then that's all combined is that like what Riverside does? They combine?
Yeah, they do some like fancy stuff where you can like they combine everything. That's if everybody's audio is clean, right? Which we didn't have that luxury of for this last recording. But no, they basically have an individual video file and an individual audio file for each guest and each host, basically. So you're dealing with like individual, and you're dealing with like, I believe it's 24-bit wave audio files. So they're each individual, which is cool, because like then you can, edit the audio files however you want. You can, cut audio out if you want. It's not all on the same audio track, which is very cool. My question is right now, and I think I've already answered this in my head. So basically, because the guest audio wasn't usable so they had 3 guests. The guest audio wasn't like quote unquote usable because it was garbage compared to the 2 hosts on the show. The radio recording as the audio for each of the video clips, and I basically manually synced up that audio to each of the video clips. I've got it all synced up. So if I wanted to use TimeBolt to get rid of some of the silence between the spoken words for each of the guests, I would need to export a video file with that synced radio audio, that's essentially, right? And then bring them into Premiere. Does that make sense?
Each of these are separate files. There's no connecting file that you have where all the 3 audio voices are in the same files. There's no file like that.
Not that is like easily syncable. The only file that exists like that is from the radio station, but it's been edited. It doesn't necessarily match like what was captured, if that makes sense.
What I would suggest is if you're using something like, I'm sure you're using Premiere Pro or Final Cut Pro, either of those, right?
Premiere.
Yeah. That would be pretty simple. What you would need to do is you need to export like a WAV file, which has all the 3 like smashed together, all the tracks, and then take that file, put it into TimeBolt, generate the JSON file, and then use the plugin. Are you aware that there's a plugin for Premiere Pro? So yeah, use the plugin, and then I think you should be good. You can apply the JSON file on each of the tracks, and they'll be automatically synced up.
Yeah, because the audio length will be basically the same. Yeah.
There is a video tutorial which you can watch. Do you have the link to it? The video tutorial for how to do this?
I think I've already sent. Did I send it to you yesterday? Didn't I? The link
walks through the plugin.
Yeah, the plugin.
Yeah,
that was helpful.
You have to select those tracks individually. At one time, the plugin acts on one track. I'm assuming that the video and the audio are separate, right? So there is no video file with the audio file. They are separate completely, right? So the audio comes in a WAV format and the video comes in MP4. So let's say you have 3 video files and 3 WAV files, right? So you will have one video file on V1, the other 2 on V2 and V3, and then the audio files will be on A4. So you will need to leave A1, A2, and A3 empty. They will be on A4, A5, and A6. The reason you will have to leave those 3 empty is because at one time, TimeBolt acts on V1 and V2 simultaneously. So it doesn't act on V1 in an isolated setting. It has to act on both V1 and A1, V2 and A2. So if you have separate audio files, you have to leave V4 empty and then have the audio track on A4. Your video will be on V1, V2, V3, and audio will be on A4, A5, and A6.
That makes sense.
Gap of 3 tracks in the middle there. Although the reason why that happens is TimeBolt, when it runs in Premiere Pro, is constricted to the Premiere Pro environment, and Premiere Pro has its own way of like doing things.
Sure.
What I just said is also explained in the tutorial. You can take a look at it. You can take a look at the video, and if you still have issues, you can always like contact us.
Again, great product, and like just I feel like it's a game changer.
Thank you so much.
Do you have any recommendations for us before you jump off? Is that like Riverside, our big affiliate, Paul Murphy, is getting ready to do a video about Riverside FM. I've actually got a friend that works there, a guy that I worked with at Galtura. I'm having trouble with recording Zoom video. Okay, just recording high quality Zoom video, depending on how many people come through, and because I've got some other audio issues in my computer. Does Riverside do that? I mean, is it built to record Zoom video? And if I did, would I have to have each one of the participants that show up download some app, or is it like feeds of a master feed? Or
how many participants are?
I don't know. Sometimes 5, 10.
Well, Riverside hold up. You can't like plug Zoom into Riverside. Riverside would just be like something totally separate all by itself, and it can have up to 8 participants.
I see.
Yeah, and then as far as like downloading on desktop, it's browser only. There's not like a desktop app that they have to download. But if they're on mobile, then they would need to obviously download the mobile app, and then really like the biggest, well, I mean, I'm sure you know, but like the biggest question mark on, all the participants is like their mic. What are they, are they on desktop or are they on mobile? And, depending on each, what mic are they using? So yeah, that's like the biggest variable. Like especially if you're looking to like publish this as like, higher quality content, then obviously audio quality is, more important. But if it's not necessarily like something that you want to publish and it's going to be public facing, then, that's not as important, I guess. It just all depends on what you're in.
Fundamental difference between OBS and Riverside FM, right? OBS is limited to capturing like one screen at a time. I think what the point of Riverside is to have multiple people's video stream and audio stream linked up and recorded at one place, right? And where an editor or somebody who wants to publish the podcast can just rip all of the files and then just like publish them to YouTube or something. I think that's what it is, right?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, in a nutshell. Yeah, basically.
It does the audio, it doesn't pull the audio from the Zoom recording. It pulls it directly from the video, right? Like from the camera. The camera is connected to the Riverside app, and then Riverside, that app is uploading the camera feed to the cloud. So it's like separate people in different locations have their own camera feeds connected to the same instance. And that instance has like a place in the cloud where all the recordings come in.
Exactly, yeah. And if everybody's separate, like if they're all remote, like recording their own thing, then you don't really have to worry about whether or not you're using a dynamic mic or not. I mean, dynamic mics sound great. Condenser mics also sound great, but condenser mics like the Blue Yeti, yeah, they pick up everything, like all the.
Yeah, I know. It picks up my computer also sometimes.
Yeah, I mean they're good if you got like a nice quiet space, not maybe too much echo, but it's gonna pick up. If you got anything going on in the background, it's gonna pick it up. So like this Samson Q2U, it's super solid, and you can plug headphones into the back of the mic. It's USB, and then I'm on a newer MacBook with the M1 chip, and I just use a USB to USB-C adapter, and then just plug the mic in that way.
So it's not, but it also sounds like it's taken off. Like you have 4 master video file. Like it sounds like it's taking your best camera source probably and audio source and sending it up to Riverside so that you've got 4 1080p files instead of when you're doing something on Zoom like this, whatever size they are, that if you want to do expanded screen and focus in on, it could really be used for better production value if you decide to go full screen with speakers heads and stuff.
Yeah, I think when we recorded it was 720. I don't know why. It may have been just a setting on the recording, but even still, because it's recording a local file versus recording to the cloud. I think there's a lot of compression that takes place. interface in Zoom when it's recording, because it's recording, I guess, essentially directly to the cloud. And then another thing about like, if you have a bad network connection, then like that's going to be evident on the recording, because it's like that the recording is dependent on the network connection. But because it's recording locally, it's not like you'll get a quality file regardless of the network connection. So even though like, and it says like right in Riverside when you're recording, it says like the quality that you see right now isn't the quality that you're going to get, basically. And that's because it's just trying to like transmit, everybody's feed to everybody else. And, like even if the network quality like isn't the greatest, like you can still, depend on the quality of the file being like relatively good, because it is recording a local copy of that video file.
Well, and that's where Zoom gets you. I mean, like I couldn't have praised them more. Like I was like, holy crap, it's only $40. I don't know what I paid, but to get like a, where you could have up to 100 participants. And I'm like, wow, and if the free version was great, but then when you go to record, even with the $40 version, they like limit you to like 480p or something insanely stupid once you get over 2 or 3 participants, right? Wow. And to go up to actually record the HD, the 720p or 1080, it's like an extra like $150 a month. I mean, it is insanely expensive when you all of a sudden want to take this and record it. That's why I would, like what Ethan was saying, use OBS. That's kind of where they stick you. It's like you want to hire in recording, you're going to pay a lot more.
Eric, so one more thing. Did you hear our conversation about the filler words, which we are trying to fix with TimeBolt? So a lot of times when you record video, right, you have words like people say like a lot. These words to fill up time. At time, like we have been trying to figure out a way in which, in addition to taking out just the silences, how do we also deal with these filler words, because they also are a challenge for a lot of people, because not necessary for a video in most cases. How do you have a process right now set up where you go through the podcast when you're editing it to take out these specific words, or you just like leave them in?
I don't do a lot of like, I wasn't doing the editing of the podcast when it was Zoom. We had just somebody on Fiverr doing the editing. This one I'm doing the editing because like this is kind of like my idea and they're kind of following my lead on this. Just because they had the radio broadcast and then we had the audio file that the radio station was providing to us, and we were uploading to Buzzsprout, and we were creating that, we were creating the podcast episodes. But obviously if you can introduce, a video element for relatively, inexpensive compared to bringing, a production person or like a small team into the studio. I mean, it's already tight in there to begin with. I don't even know how that would even be possible, but it's like, I mean, they're on a budget, right? Like these people are on a budget, and, I'm like, the video would be powerful. And I think like, with everything that's going on with like YouTube and like how their focus is on podcasts right now. And like, there's a huge push on like getting every podcast to have a video element to it. Like, my goodness, that's like such a huge, like, I don't even think we can fully understand how big that opportunity is. All of these podcasts, which are growing in popularity, but also adding that video element onto it and having a video podcast for every podcast that exists that's out there and having that live on YouTube. I mean, it's going to be ridiculous. And then like, I think between Riverside FM and then like, the editors using something like TimeBolt, to like, to save time. I feel like that's like a perfect marriage, and it's like just fits right into like this huge wave that I think is going up big time right now.
Does Riverside, do you get transcriptions done with Riverside to do captions?
Yeah, I think they do.
I didn't know if
they do. They have unlimited.
I didn't know if, but Eric, do you use, when you're talking about uploading them to YouTube, are you using transcriptions? Are you doing anything with that for any SEO value on YouTube? Is it something you're looking to do in the future?
I'm not, but I mean, I know the values there. I have a little bit of faith and trust in YouTube's, like the way they automate transcriptions and closed captions. I don't know. I would put less focus on that and then more focus on just getting the best content possible and just getting a podcast up on YouTube. Like if you have a podcast, like if anybody out there right now today has an audio only podcast right now and they're not doing video, like they're missing the boat big time. Like that's such a huge opportunity.
We had a YouTuber come on, like I think a few weeks ago, and he said that he doesn't even like look at transcriptions at all because, as you said correctly, YouTube does it automatically.
Yeah, they do a good enough job. Actually, I don't know if you guys are familiar with the YouTuber Vanessa Lau, but she does a lot of content on YouTube, and that's kind of where I got that information from. I can link you guys to the YouTube video, but she talks about like 10 things you don't need to do, like you think you need to do, but you don't need to do. And transcriptions was like one of the things where like she focused on it, didn't necessarily see like a lift per se. She's like pretty intelligent, I think. I think she's like looking at, she's not just guessing. I think she's looking at some sort of like metric or data point to make that.
Well, you've been extremely helpful, Eric. I appreciate your time and coming on here. And I'll certainly let you know when Paul releases that video. It should be within the next couple of weeks, but he's going to be going in depth on how he takes all these files, combines them from Riverside. It's actually a video sponsored by Riverside. Yeah, the title of it, edit, an hour-long interview in under 5 minutes.
Yeah.
It's a hell of a title to deliver on, I mean, it's not clickbait. I mean,
yeah, no, I think video podcasting, I mean, podcasting in general, there's a million, videos on YouTube teaching you how to do it. I think like if we're talking about content to help grow and promote TimeBolt, I think if there's and I'm sure you're tied in pretty close with a lot of your, affiliates, especially the ones that, get, if there's any way, and it sounds like this guy's going to be, doing a video on this, but if there's any way that they can promote like how to do a video podcast and then like just plugging TimeBolt in as it's just part of the process, unless you like hate your life and love wasting time, by all means, don't use TimeBolt, but if you hate money and you hate your life, don't use TimeBolt.
Don't watch this video. It'd be no good. That's funny. Have you thought about doing any affiliate work?
I'm in a program right now for like high ticket sales, like remote closing type stuff. I don't know if you're familiar with Cole Gordon. You've probably seen his stuff online, Remote Closer Academy. But I just started in that program and I'm going pretty hard on that. But I'm obsessed with YouTube and and podcasts are great. I've been listening to them for years, and just the way that they're coming together right now is just like brilliant. Yeah, I mean, if there's any opportunity, because obviously I'm passionate about podcasting and like introducing the video element into podcasts and like obviously using TimeBolt and Riverside and YouTube and all that. If there's ever an opportunity for me to do any sort of content, I mean, it's a natural recommendation to recommend TimeBolt, and I'm already signed up as an affiliate. I haven't done anything with it, but yeah, it's just a natural recommendation. If you're talking about video podcasting, TimeBolt is just a necessary piece of that whole entire process.
Excellent. You were talking about closing high ticket sales, like with video. Is that like as part of like a video sales motion, or?
Well, it's like basically the program. They've got there's a coaching element to it, and then they've got a course. Cole Gordon, he's been doing like high ticket sales, and it's basically for like courses, like memberships, like masterminds, like that, basically like the info products space
versus like B2B software type stuff.
Yeah, and it really just depends. It's like it could be a company that like I remember seeing an ad for this company that was doing basically like documentaries for businesses, but it was like a high-end video production where they would like bring in a big team, like it'd be a legit video production. They'd come in and basically like shoot this whole entire documentary. So they run ads on YouTube, they get leads off of YouTube, and then like they might need somebody to come in there, after they get that lead to obviously they'll probably book a call because we're talking probably like 20K plus to have him and his team to come in and shoot something for you. So like that would kind of be like, because that kind of falls into my expertise, is like video production. And that is my background. Like started photography back in high school, 20 plus years ago, back in the darkroom days, and then just progressed from there, and then just progressed to video, and then starting a photography business in 2012, progressed to marketing. That's kind of how I got into this whole like space. But it's like, but if I'm going to be selling high ticket, it's going to be something that like I know and that I love. So it'd be like marketing. It'd be like agency services, video production, stuff like that. It's kind of like a natural progression for me to be able to like obviously talk about it like we are right now and sell it and try to get somebody signed up into a program or something.
Fantastic. No, it looks like you're really kicking it in high gear. You're going into number of different opportunities in video and marketing. It was great meeting you, Eric, and we hope to be there for you along your journey. If there's something TimeBolt doesn't deliver on, you're obviously creating a wide spectrum of content, right, of different pieces. Please let us know. We grow product with feedback from customers like yourself, and please join us next time. You want to talk about Riverside, maybe after we get Paul Murphy's video out there.
Yeah, I'd love to. Cool. Thanks, guys.
Nice. Sir. Good luck on your journey. Thanks for joining us. Well, we were talking about transcriptions and the ability for these things to do. If transcriptions didn't cost anything, okay, I would say fuck the transcriptions and just do check, right? Like just use them for automatic filler word detection, and then right like that. There's real value in that for.
Yeah, the idea that thing about transcriptions is that they're useless unless you have something to do with them. Yeah, I mean you can do a transcript for a video, but then what do you do with it? That's the main question. How do you build a product that actually uses transcriptions in a way that is meaningful? And I think filler word detection is one of those things that transcriptions can do. Obviously, there are other things like subtitles and stuff like that, but for the purposes of TimeBolt and something that fits in with with the ethos of what TimeBolt wants to do, reducing time to edit video, filler word detection and removal is something that fits in very well.
Yeah, I guess what I was saying is that once you get a cut timeline into Premiere, right, you would get the transcriptions just based on the new cut timeline, not, your original video file that's like probably 40% longer. Final Cut Pro is the only one that really doesn't have that in there yet, but you're talking about like subtitles and things like that.
But
I'm saying it's more design work. It's like
that's what I'm saying. It turns into a different product.
Yeah.
I don't think TimeBolt is that product. It's not like ClipScribe. It's not
exactly.
And I don't want to turn it into that product. To be honest, I don't think it coincides with the ethos of what TimeBolt stands for. TimeBolt stands for speed. And doing design work is the opposite of speed. It's
the ultimate, we're really working to create the ultimate video cleanup tool.
Exactly. Speed up. It needs to be quick. Like TimeBolt needs to be fast and adding design elements and those sort of things just slow down the process because there are other tools that do it much better. And personally, I want TimeBolt to be a unique category builder in its own right,
We figure out what our costs are. Let's work together on that. Because I wanted to kind of put some of the, I don't know what the data is behind, like size of files and, length of files, costs and all that stuff. Let's figure out between us. I won't even say the word transcriptions. Okay. I'm not even going to say the word transcription. Check. And we're going to focus on, look, if you have unscripted video, this is excellent for filler word detection, right?
Correct. Exactly.
And you run it and we'll price it accordingly, that.
Exactly. That's a good idea. Just not use the word transcription.
Yeah, and let's literally call it check because you're not even. I create a spectrum, for TimeBolt. You go from 5-second, 10-second brand, hero shots to 1 minute long ads to hour-long Zoom calls like this.
Yeah.
And, there's a spectrum of content. So I think this falls in really nicely with it. It's a great product. Is it going to be possible? Is there any other, as opposed to going in and dynamically, people don't know that there's literally a transcription almost to it. Is it possible do we want to have the whole thing listed out like that before or?
I built that because I didn't have any other way of showcasing what's happening. Without that, people don't know what has happened unless they see what has happened. Like unless they see a transcript, doesn't like sink in that there's a transcript available, because when you watch a video, you don't know the words. Like if the words are ephemeral, unless you see the words, you don't know which words to type. The idea behind the wall of text was to show people that this has what the process of transcription and figuring out where the words are has finished. And now these words are available. Which ones do you want to keep and which ones do you want to get rid of? So, if you have like a better way of displaying that, that's fine. We can discuss that.
I think when I did it and it just like ran the process, it removed, it goes in and finds the little ums in the middle of a damn sentence and completely and accurately cuts it out of, but it's just this little thing inside of our timeline. You don't even know like what is really happening.
Yeah, so obviously, the way it's presented will
totally. But when I'm saying to make it the thing, right? Like that special thing that's for TimeBolt, I think.
Yeah, we can add an animation or something.
We say how many words, right? How many filler words? I don't need to know how many ums or ahs or e's or likes or
definitely. I was thinking of making it way more graphic. Right now, It's not graphic at all. It's just a functional tool. And obviously, the reason behind that is I don't want to spend too much time building something that maybe people won't want.
Yeah, that change.
But yeah, we can do that. Like we can have we have removed these many words. We have deleted these many things. We have all those that information can obviously be put in. We can do that. Yeah, you have a text box which shows up. It says Umcheck successful.
Yeah. It's 32 filler word, 32 filler words detected and removed, right? Exactly. And that's the thing. I think what's really awesome about transcriptions that we want to keep in mind, okay? Like when you're talking about turbo mode and these things, we can be the first software to really talk about words per minute, right? And the impact on rates of speech. Because now we not only know the time of the file and the in file, but now we know the number of words and word count. Like there's no other software. This is all guesswork and done when they're are done by hand when they're doing it for case studies for EDU projects. I think TimeBolt can really get in there and ingrain itself because we'll be a functional tool for researchers as well. Yeah. It's very, understanding like how the words per minute and like that shit, like that little turbo thing, like it could actually be eventually like a legitimate calculation of, hey, this is my number of words per minute. Now people got something to grab onto. They've got this feeling of them having speaking perfectly along with what their new words per minute are. And that's something that you could discuss with employees, colleagues, stuff like that. I think that's like what we can make it a thing without even worrying about transcriptions.
I mean, transcriptions is just like, it's just a part to Umcheck. I mean, it's the path to Umcheck.
It's the path to Umcheck. Yeah, no, that's great, man. Well, very, very excited about that. Have you seen?
I have one question.
Oh, Ethan.
Yeah, Ethan, go on.
Yeah, for your check or whatever, just one thing I think would be nice is if you made it, you know how when you cut out the blank audio, it's red, making it like orange or something, you know which part's taking out what?
Yeah, like a different color for the
Yeah.
filler word.
Yeah, that'd just be a nice quality of life.
We make it like a purple or something, like maybe make it
Yeah.
like a
Make it obvious that this is removed from the filler detection. That would help. If people want to revert back and keep it later on, they can just easily scroll through and see that where it is and just keep it if they want to.
There's no way to currently undo though, right? And I think I understand why. That can get complicated as fuck.
Yeah, it get complicated, but then yeah, I mean there should be something that, you know, like if you do something and you don't want to continue with it, there should be a way to, like, you know, revert back. And before reverting back, you need to find where it is first of all. Like if you don't know where it is, like
my fear is somebody would just go in and type like we did movie and then some other just to fucking see it and run it just to see it and then realize, oh well, I'm gonna have to pay for another transcription in order to reset everything.
No, you don't have to pay for it. You can just like no, there's no, you don't have to pay for it. No, because it's not editable, right? You can't, once you transcribe a file, you can't edit it. It's the same file.
But I mean, if I closed it down, I hit.
Oh yeah, maybe then. Yeah, but you know, those quality of life features will be something we'll put in, like where you can reset it, or you know, you can turn off, quote unquote.
Save J. Yeah, we've already got the save JSON file. We'll try and just keep the SRT thing out of it, which also means, Quinston, that we could essentially do away with the extra editor right now, that extra editor page that comes up after the transcript runs. Then that could just be like, please check TimeBolt or.
Let's see. I don't know yet. I'm still figuring out how to do that, because I do want it to be a part of the timeline.
No, but that's what I'm trying to help. Like, but that piece that shows up on the web page where you can actually edit your SRT file, like that doesn't ever show up since we're not dealing with transcripts. Like that piece.
Yeah. I mean, we can turn that off. Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Are you guys going to do a one-time purchase for that too, or no? Will that be just whenever you use it?
Yeah, it's right now it's slated to be like whenever you use it, you can pay for, like, maybe you do 20 minutes, you'll pay for 20 minutes. But maybe in the future we'll have a different infrastructure for that. We don't want to do like an ongoing subscription like these other companies have, like maybe like the way Descript has a monthly subscription where you get a certain number of hours. We are not inclined to do something like that. But I mean, we'll test this out, see how customers like it, this model, and if we don't get good feedback on the model, then we'll see what else we can explore. At least that's the thought process right now. So
Ethan, I'm just to kind of bring up to speed, we're working on new messaging strategy for TimeBolt. People talk about talking head video, talk to camera video confessional. And, you know, we don't want to get lopped in as just some type of dead air cutter, because our software does a lot more than that. It's an entire timeline editor. And the idea is breaking the fourth wall, which is a concept used in theater. When actors break that fourth wall, it's that imaginary line that separates them between the audience. And basically anytime you talk to you on YouTube, it's breaking the fourth wall. Give some eye candy, like something that happens really fast for an advertisement that people are like, well, that's different. No, there's some work put into that, making us look less like a startup and more like a company.
That's cool. I like your guys' product. I think it's pretty cool.
When you heard breaking the fourth wall, were you like, what the hell are you talking about? Or were you like, what's interesting?
I think it's interesting. I mean, I think it's like a term that a lot of people might not know what it is, though, because it has to do with like acting or whatever. If people didn't do it, then it's, you know.
Absolutely. I didn't know what it was. What I was hoping to do is, like, you know, does this video give a better let's break the fourth wall, right? And then there's the audience right there at the screen. Mm-hmm. I didn't know if, like, you know, there's just some stuff that sounds cool that's like left open-ended in business that you're like, what the hell?
Yeah.
What does that mean? Because all the rest of this hopefully is giving context to that. Just something that this is the actual big idea story. I'm just basically working to weave this same story down through the narrative here. And then also kind of definitely keeping some of our, making sure people know what the hell we sell, and just trying to do, just working to create a category name, build up a category versus, hey, cut dead air out of your long video.
One thing too, have you guys thought about like removing background noise with it? Like they can select certain decibel to just like mute that, but not cut it out. So like if there's fans in the background.
Yeah, I've caught that a couple times.
We have that something similar to that, but it's only available for preview. It's not available for exporting. We decided early on not to do any, except for the background music thing, we decided not to do any cosmetic changes to the video file itself, except cutting it and then joining it together. That was just done because I wanted TimeBolt to be a very narrow, focused product. So any alterations to sound, any alterations to the way treble, bass, and all those things, we have, for the most part, left it to the customer to use a different product to do.
Yeah, I mean they don't now because but do people like want that?
Yeah, I don't know.
And I'm talking about just like basic. Is there like a LUT, right? Can you apply like a basic audio normalization? I don't know. You always seem to take concept.
I'm not in favor, mostly because I feel like when you're building a product like this, right? There are so many other products that do all of these that even if you build like a basic version in TimeBolt, it won't be as good. Because there are other products that do it at such a great level. Like you can get a Premiere Pro subscription for, or you can even do it in DaVinci Resolve, which is completely free. And DaVinci Resolve being a free product, it does it to such an extent that even if you build like a smaller version in TimeBolt, it won't do as good a job.
Auto ducking, for example, right?
I don't know about that, but I'm not talking about specific features. I'm just saying that take a more complex feature in DaVinci Resolve, or build like a toned down version in TimeBolt, it won't be as good. And then people will try to compare, TimeBolt has this feature, but it's done much better in DaVinci Resolve. And then it'll be like, avoid everything, build the best feature you can for TimeBolt, and then just stick with that. I think that's a good approach.
Excellent. No, it sounds right. Ethan, do you have any additional questions? Thanks for joining us today.
I don't think it was good listening in. Thank you.
Great. Thank you for choosing TimeBolt. And that looks like it's it. This is the end of office hours for October 27th. Don't forget to hit the like, subscribe to us, and click the notification bell if you'd like to see when we go live next. And we're out of time. Thank you very much. Thanks, Quincy.
Guys, bye. Take care.